Hi, this is Blake Bettner, the managing editor of Worn & Wound. Today, we're looking at the Marin Instruments SkinDiver. This is a new watch from a new brand, and we're excited about it because it kind of sets a new visual profile for a dive watch and is jumping into pretty crowded territory here in the around $1,000 dive watch segment. A lot of watches in this area that we love. A couple of them are the Seiko SPB 143, 145, 149, or 147 if you're into that kind of thing. And also newcomers like the Cerrica 5303. We have a few of these watches in front of us, so we've got a great opportunity to take a look at all of them together. Before we get there, let's take a closer look at the SkinDiver itself. This has a classic SkinDiver shape to it. It's almost cookie cutter from the top down. It's brushed on the top and polished along the side. And while we're along the side, you can see that this has a almost perfectly horizontal profile to it. Now, when you compare this to something like the Seiko SPB watches, you'll notice that that has a case that contours to your wrist a little bit better. The SkinDiver on wrist, you will notice those lugs stick up just a little bit more. Being 39 millimeters though, it's really not that bothersome. The lug to lug is about 48 millimeters here. So overall, it's still very comfortable, but it's something that you will notice. One thing that accentuates that is the strap that's currently on it. So the rubber strap has a certainly unique visual to it. It's also very comfortable on the wrist. If you're not a fan of the rubber strap, it does ship with a single pass Maritech Zulu fabric strap, which also looks fantastic on these. Getting back to the design of the watch, the most unique elements of this watch fall on the dial and the bezel. Right off the bat, you'll notice this bezel, which is almost minimal in design. It's very bold and graphic in nature, almost Ming-esque in its take, thanks to the loom field applications of the numerals and this kind of rounded off section demarcating the first 15 seconds on the bezel. The dial comes in both white and black, and one thing I appreciate about the white dial is that the hour markers and hands are accented with black surrounds, so legibility is clear and crisp at a glance. Now, a watch like the SPB 213, which features a white silver dial that has silver accents, so legibility suffers a little bit there. Another differentiator here is everything on the SkinDiver is matte, and as a result, it's very easy to read. And there's a lot of contrast here. The dials, both the black and the white, look like they're sitting right underneath the crystal. So it's really sharp, really easy to read at a glance, and I think overall makes really compelling visual on the wrist. One niggle that I have in use is the crown and the crown guards. Now, the crown is perfectly normal in size. However, the crown guards are very thick and they don't taper at all towards the crown. So it's a little bit tricky to get in there and manipulate, but I've seen worse. Now, one little thing on the dial that I really like is the scripted depth rating underneath the SkinDiver labeling as 6 o'clock. It adds kind of a throwback feel to the watch, which otherwise feels very modern and simple in its aesthetic. And that brings up another watch that we're all big fans of around here, the Cerrica 5303, which leans a little bit further even still into the kind of old school vintage aesthetic, done in a very modern way. That watch has a formality to it that the SkinDiver lacks altogether. There's some softer shapes, there's a polished chamfered edge, there's a lot more depth in the dial. The Marin Hover has more of a toolishness to it. Everything is flat, right? From the top down, there's almost a raw feeling to it. So to that end, it definitely feels like it's more of a true tool watch. Whereas the Cerrica 5303, you can maybe wear that with a suit and get away with it just fine. Now, overall, I would call the Marin a novel take on the dive watch in this price category that stands on its own, thanks to its really, again, bold graphic design of the bezel and the dial in particular. It does call on some of the classic dive watch archetypes, which I think is fine here. And again, it's priced very competitively. However, the SkinDiver really does stand apart. It's got a really unique, interesting individual design. The fit and finish is top notch, especially when you consider this is a new brand and the first effort from them. And plus, it just looks really cool. Now, the full review of this watch is live on Worn & Wound right now. Head over there and let us know your thoughts on this watch or leave it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.